Hello and welcome to Castle for One Games. I am George Castle and today I'll be playing Nucleum, designed by Simone Luciani and David Turksey. This is a 1 to 4 player game, but today I'll be going over an unofficial solo mode. This is just to help you get an idea of different ways to play the game from a solitaire perspective. Your opponent, Nuko, the evil industrialist, ready to stop you so that he can become the leader in this new industrial revolution. So let's dive in. Alright, welcome to Saxony, Germany, where Nucleum is the big attraction in town, where you will try to expand your network through railways, so that you can connect cities and urbanize. The more you control, the more power you'll have. So I played the official solo mode, the Baron, but I felt the solo structure was just a bit overwhelming at times, not only because of the heavy rules, but also the amount of ambiguity within the AI's turns and movements. I just found myself spending more time worrying about the AI's turns than my own. And I played a couple of times, but I was just not able to find a good balance in play. So I wanted to create something that would still give me the same playing experience for the game, but without all the heavy maintenance of the official solo mode. And I decided to record the full playthrough of this solo variant just because I'm really having a lot of fun with it, and I thought it would be helpful for you to follow along with the rules, which I posted the BGG link in the description below. Now, if you want something with medium AI maintenance, maybe not as light as this one or as heavy as the official mode, then I would highly recommend going to the channel Cell 141, which I will also post the link in the description below. The designer there recorded how to play with his solo variant by having two AIs playing against each other, which I found fascinating. And he did an awesome job explaining the mechanics of that AI. Alright, now I'm going to repeat what I said in the Age of Innovation video, which is that, for some, the game's official automa for this game may not be as heavy to manage, or didn't find it as overwhelming as I did. But this video is dedicated to those that find it too challenging to manage and may want something a little bit lighter, such as the one that I'm going to play today. And if anything, I hope that this video just provides another option for us table gamers, because this is a great game to play. So let's start with the setup. Now, I've set up the game the same way you would in a 2-player. I have the other side of the board showing the 1 to 2 player side. I started with the B experiment board, and of course I'm the yellow player. I gave myself my starting contract, which will give me 2 victory points once I build 2 turbines out on the board. I'm going to start with the 2 workers. Now, it is recommended starting with 3, and I think it would be the same for this variant as well. The contracts and the railway tiles are the same amount for 2 players. And off to the sideboard, these are the endgame objectives. As you can see, I have points for every orange building I can build. Then I will get points for each green building I have built. This third one will give me points for each city I have energized buildings. And finally, the top scoring objective will give me points for every turbine I've built, which of course the maximum is 4. Also, based on the cards that I drew, I've placed the neutral building in Leipzig. And a Nucleum will start in Grimma. Now, I've set up 2 endgame condition markers and covered the other 3 spaces, just as a reminder that that's when the game ends. However, there is an opportunity where you can get more, so I've placed the rest of the markers on the side here. This is of course optional, this is not something you have to do. The AI does start with 1 milestone marker on the 1 space of the achievement tracker, and the 3 milestone markers at the bottom of the sideboard as usual. I've also set aside a supply of the AI workers, 4 of the mine tiles, the 4 turbines, and all of the urban buildings. Now, the order does not matter in this variant. Now, Nuko does not play with any tallers or action tiles. Actually, he always converts them directly as railway tiles onto the board. He also does not need a player board, and Nuko does not start with a contract like in the official solo mode. Now, I've set aside the 200-point marker as a reminder that this is the objective scoring for the game. So he does not need a VP marker like I've placed one here. And speaking of objectives, let's go through that real quick. The objective of this game is to gain more than 200 victory points.
If you don't reach 201 victory points, then you lose the game. The game has 6 rounds, and they are structured by this table, which shows the type and the amount of actions that the AI will have to take for each of those rounds. Now, the game ends once the 2-player markers have been placed, or it is the end of the 6th round. But for now, let's talk about how the game plays in more details.
The way the game works is that you are going to play your turns as normal, but when it's the AI's turn, or in this case Nuko, you will follow this table of actions. As you can see here, there are 6 rounds, and in each round, there are 8 actions. And you can place each of the actions anywhere you'd like as long as you follow the normal rules, with a couple of tweaks, which we'll go over in a couple minutes. So in this case, round 1, you have to place 4 railway tiles onto the board. 1 contract, and it must start with a silver, which is why the S is here kind of transparent to kind of remind you. And then it goes into gold as you go further through the rounds. You will also need to place 1 mine, and you will have to place 2 urban buildings. And remember, the order doesn't matter. You get to choose. However, you're not going to do all of them in one turn. It is 1 action per turn. Now, these last 3 stars here at the bottom, they represent the milestone markers for the AI. They will be placed last for each of those rounds, if you make it that far. So what does that mean by making it that far? Well, let's go through the strategy of the game next. All right, now for the strategy of the game. You're trying to reach more than 200 points, right? So if you only play on one side of the board, and you have Nuko mainly playing on the other side of the board, then you may be missing out on opportunities to increase efficiency and overall gain more points. What also tends to happen is that you will find yourself reaching the end of game conditions much sooner than the 6th round. And the problem with ending the game before the 6th round is that you simply don't have enough time to build up enough points. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just saying it's been very difficult for me. I have found it much more successful if I can stretch it out to the 6th round, especially because it's only during round 4 through 6 that you can play Nuko's milestone markers, increasing the chances of triggering a King's Day scoring. And these extra points can also be very helpful. Of course, this is just my own strategy. I'm sure you'll have your own, and I would love for you to share that in the comments below. So let's get started. All right, the player always starts first, and seeing that my contract tile shows turbine requirements, plus one of the milestone tiles is turbine, and one of the purple contracts is turbine, I think I'm going to go turbine heavy this game. So I think for my first move, I'm going to go ahead and place my turbine here at Grima, since there's already a Nucleum at that power plant. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and place this action tile on top of my board, and it's going to cost me one of my workers. And remember, this is one of the only times that I'm able to just place one of my items directly onto the board without having to worry about my network. Normally, I would have to have something already on that city, or I would have to have one of my own railway tiles touching that city. All right, now the action tile also lets me choose to gain either a worker to replace the one I just spent, or 2 coins. And because I like to purchase action tiles a lot, I'm going to go ahead and go with the money at this time. Anyway, that's the end of my turn. Now it's Nuko's turn. All right, now it's Nuko's turn, and that means I need to choose one of the actions from this round 1 column. I think his first action will be to develop, which means I get to choose a tile from the market. When Nuko performs a develop action, he doesn't keep the tiles, like in the official solo mode. He instead plays them as a railway action. However, I do need to keep in mind that I must match the color of at least one side of his tile to either a city or an existing tile already on the board. Now, I can still place it even if it doesn't match any color. However, I will lose 3 victory points immediately, which is why in the solo variant, it is possible to have negative points early on. Now, if during my turn I placed one of my tiles next to one of his, I won't lose any points. I only lose points whenever I place Nuko's tiles in the way I just mentioned. Now, I do see that there's a couple of industrialized tiles, so I'm going to pick one of these. And because I already have network in this city, it won't really affect me losing this space. And actually, it also helps me gain access to transporting carbon as I build along this path, in case I need them. All right, I'll slide over the tiles, draw a new tile. Oh, a double contract action tile with a star now on the market. Back to me, and I'm going to go ahead and get this urbanized tile in play. I'll put it on my board and purchase this urban building since it's one of the milestone objectives. And let's go ahead and set it onto Grima since that's the only place I have a network so far. Now it's going to cost me 2 coins. And it will also let me move over 1 more space for future workers during the income phase. And that's my turn. Back to Nuko. All right, now it's back to Nuko, and I'm going to go ahead and choose to have him do a contract just to see what comes out early that might interest me. And we'll choose to give him this one since I don't plan on getting that many stars this early in the game. And now this new contract does benefit me because I already have one of these green buildings set up. I just need 1 more to complete the contract. And nothing happens to this contract, it just gets discarded. Back to me. All right, now that it's back to me, I'm going to go ahead and go with the contract action tile. But I'm going to go ahead and place it out onto the board as a railway. And let's go ahead and place it on this white city, since I can't pronounce it, which will open up a new network for me. That way I can place my next turbine there and complete the contract I have. And since both sides of my tile match each of the colors for these cities, I can go ahead and play both actions. So let's start with the contract. I'll go ahead and pick this one up, since that way I can complete it much faster since I just need 1 more green building to build. And place it here so I can get 1 more worker. I'll go ahead and replenish the contract market. And now we have orange buildings for the next contract. The next action on this tile is to move my income marker 1 more space, so I'll end up with 5 coins during the income phase. Unfortunately, it will cost me 1 coin. So let's go ahead and flip this tile over and I'll add my worker. And that's my turn. All right, and now it's back to Nuko, and I'm going to have him place another railway tile. So I'll go ahead and cross this one off. So let's go ahead and pick this one because I need to start expanding this track in order to transport uranium to either one of these turbines in future rounds. All right, we just need to slide these over and draw the next action tile. And that's it for Nuko's turn. All right, it's back to me. And I think I'm going to use my special tile. I'll just go ahead and place it on top of my board. And I'm going to go with getting another contract. And I'm going to go for this one because I'm going to be aiming for mines pretty soon anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and place it where I can get 2 coins since I'm going to be needing those soon. All right, it's time to replenish the contracts. And this contract will be completed once I've built 2 urban buildings on any orange city. And that's it for me. All right, it's back to Nuko. And I think I'm going to go ahead and select one of his mines. And let's go ahead and place it all the way out here to the purple city, away from me, where it doesn't bother me. And I know what you might be thinking at this point. I could just simply spread it out all across the other side of the board and never interact with me at all. But eventually it will get tight. You will run out of space, and you'll have to get really creative on where else you can place them. But also benefits, because there may be times you may need his turbine, for example. All right, back to me. All right, so for my next turn, I'm going to, well, obviously play the last tile, but I'm going to place it onto the board. And we'll go ahead and place it here, which will complete this railway. And thanks to this action, I'm going to purchase a couple of action tiles. Let's start with the first one, which will be free. And this second one, which will cost me 3 coins. But it will give me uranium once I start building some mines. All right, let's slide these over. And we'll go ahead and draw a couple more action tiles. And now, unfortunately, I will not be able to perform my second action, which is to energize, since I don't have enough energy to energize this urban building. But because I completed this railway, I am going to get 2 points. Now, Nuko does not receive any points. Remember, he already has his 200 points for the end of the game. But now back to Nuko. And actually, before I start with Nuko's turn, I forgot to pay the 3 coins for the 2 action tiles I just purchased. Alright, I think for Nuko's next turn, we're going to go ahead and choose to place one of his urban buildings out onto the board. So I'll go ahead and cross one of these out. And it doesn't matter which urban building I choose, we don't energize any of the AI's buildings. And we can basically place them anywhere. It doesn't need to follow the network rules. It just needs to match the building type. And I'll go ahead and place it here. So it'll cover some costly real estate. All right, back to me. All right, now for me, I'm going to have to recharge. And you know I'm not playing well if I have to recharge without any achievement tokens. First thing I'll do is collect my income. We'll start with getting 5 coins, 2 workers. I don't have any victory points. I'll place my milestone marker at 0, which will provide me with 1 more worker and 2 coins. Unfortunately, I will lose 3 points at the end of the game. I would get rid of some achievement tokens, but I don't have any. And finally, I get my tiles back. And that's the end of my turn. All right, it's now back to Nuko. And for his turn, we're going to go ahead and lay another tile. And from out of these, I'm going to go ahead and select the last one over here. And we'll go ahead and draw a new one. And that means we need to bring over a new stack of 10 tiles. And in case I need to transport any uranium in the future through this plant, I'm going to go ahead and lay one over here. And now back to me. All right, now I have a couple more action tiles to go off of, and I've got some good amount of money and workers. I feel like I have a couple more options now, and it's time to bounce back. Let's start by completing some of these contracts. So the first one I'm going to go ahead and complete is this turbine tile. So let's go ahead and use this action tile and place it on the top of my board. The first action is to get another worker. And now I'm going to perform an industrialize action by sending this turbine over here in this white city. That's going to cost me 2 workers. And since I've played my action tile on top of my board, I can go ahead and complete a contract. So obviously I'm going to complete the turbine contract, and it's going to give me 2 victory points, and I get my worker back. Now back to Nuko. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get Nuko to play his last railway tile. And let's go ahead and choose the first one. I'm going to place it onto this space so that I can later connect it with one of my tiles. And then be able to transport some uranium from this future mine spot. And I suppose I'm cutting myself off from gaining more points because I could be building these dual railway spaces all to myself. But I really don't want to spend that many tiles onto the board, and 2 points just isn't enough early on, but maybe more towards the end. All right, let's go ahead and replenish the market. And now it's back to me. All right, let's see. I want to start working towards building these mines. That way I can complete this contract. And this action tile does give me an extra uranium, but I could get some more action tiles. I do see that the first action tile would get me some more contracts. And that way I can place it on the side of my board to get some achievement tokens so I don't get stuck like I did last time I did a recharge. Although I don't really like the contracts out there right now, but I suppose I could get Nuko to take one out for me, and that way I can see if a better one comes out. I also need to start playing some urban buildings out there, especially to complete this other contract. So that other action tile would work nicely. So yeah, let's go ahead and get some more action tiles. And I'm going to place this action tile onto my board, which will increase my taller income during the next recharge. So yeah, let's go ahead and get the first 2 tiles. That's going to be a total of 3 tallers. I'll go ahead and shift these over. And let's go ahead and draw these next 2. And now back to Nuko. All right, and the only thing left in this round for Nuko is to go ahead and cross off this last urban building action, and that will complete the 8 turns for the first round. And then we're going to move to the next round, and I just realized that on round 2, Nuko does not place any contracts. So there goes my plan of him clearing out a contract from the market to draw a new one for me, and he is going to increase the price of one of the carbon tiles. That's not too bad at first until they start adding up. Anyway, let's complete this round. Alright, the last building I played for Nuko was for an orange building. And I don't want to use up too many of those, or I'm going to limit myself on the available icons out there for orange. So let's use a yellow one this time, and we're going to place it next to this other building. Now, it's back to me. Alright, I really need to start thinking about getting these mines onto the board, but I could also build another green building, and that will complete this one contract. But I need to expand my network in order to get my building onto a green spot. And in order to do that, I need more action tile options. So let's go ahead and get some more action tiles by using this question mark tile to perform a develop action. And that way I also get a discount. All right, I'll pick this one for free. And this one is just going to cost me $2 thanks to that discount. All right, let's draw 2 more. And that's it for me. All right, I think for Nuko's first action of the second round will be to place another railway tile. Let's go ahead and go with this one. And I'll place it on this orange city so we can continue to build down the path to the other carbon tiles. All right, we'll draw 1 more action tile. Now back to me. All right, let's go ahead and complete this rail line. I'll play this action tile which will match both sides. The action on this tile is to move my victory point income tracker over 1 spot. And with my other action, I'm going to energize this building here in Grima, which requires 3 energy. But thanks to my discount on my action tile, I only need 2. And now that my player board provides me with an extra 2 additional energy, that meets the requirement to build this urban building. And now I'll flip it over and I get 3 achievement tokens and 1 of my technology level 1. And I'm going to pick this one here, which will provide me with an extra action to industrialize in any city, even if I don't have a network there. So I'm going to industrialize this mine, which will cost me 1 worker. And I'll place it here, which will give me an extra uranium. Since I automatically get 1 uranium per mine I have played, I now start with a total of 2. I get a victory point since I was able to play both my turbine and mine from this first level on my player board. And since I completed the rail line, I get 2 more points for a total of 7. And that's my turn. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and go for another railway tile for Nuko. And of these, I think we're going to go with this one. And that will reduce some pricing for the other ones that I'm interested in. And let's continue to build the path to those other mines. And I'll leave this one open in case I want to complete this line, gain some points, and have another city to build on. Because remember, one of our milestone objectives is to have energized buildings in different cities. All right, back to me. All right, I'd like to get this mine contract out there, but I don't have enough workers to get my mine out there to complete it. I could urbanize, but I'm limited on where I can build since I don't have that many networks out there. So I have no choice but to build here, which will cost me $2. But I'll use this action tile to build this green building. And because it gives me $1 discount, I just need to pay $2. Which means I'm broke. But since I've played this action tile on my board, I can now claim this contract, which will gain me 3 points immediately. And 1 uranium. The other action from this tile is to gain another achievement token. And that's my turn. All right, and for Nuko, we'll just go ahead and place 1 more mine. And let's go ahead and place it over here, far away from me. All right, back to me. But before I play my next move, I forgot to send this green building out on the board. All right, let's go ahead and get some more contracts. That way I can gain another worker. We'll go ahead and use this action tile, which will provide me 2 contracts. This contract will give me another technology if I build any of my items on any 2 orange cities. And I've already got 1 mine in 1 orange city. I just need 1 more item. So I like that one. This one wants me to energize 2 urban buildings. I have 1, I just need 1 more. So I'll take this one as well. I'll place 1 here to get a worker. And I'll place 1 here to get 2 achievement tokens. The second action on this tile is to get another achievement token for a total of 7. Back to Nuko. All right, let's go ahead and place another railway tile for Nuko. And this time we'll go ahead and place it over here. That way I can start a transportation line for this other power plant in case I need more uranium for Praha in the future. Now back to me. All right, I would love to build another one of my urban buildings, but I don't have any money. I could go for adding another mine, but the only spaces available will cost $2. I can't even energize because I don't have any nucleum in this power plant, and I can't afford to pay for any carbon. So the only choice I have left is to recharge. I hate that because my tracker hasn't really moved that far. But here we go. Let's go ahead and get our income, and we'll start with the dollars, which is 6. And I get 2 workers. And 1 point. I'll go ahead and add my milestone marker. And because I have 7 achievement tokens, I'll go ahead and add it here. And because of this dotted line, I qualify for this milestone. And I'm able to take this nucleum. And I'll place my nucleum on this power plant, since I've got a building here already and ready to be built, and I have all this uranium. So let's go ahead and get rid of these achievement tokens and get my tiles back. Now going back to that nucleum I just placed on this power plant, I do get a free action tile from the market at a discount of 2 coins. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. Back to Nuko. All right, let's go ahead and add an urban building for Nuko. And we'll add it over here just to cover the costly real estate. All right, it's back to me, and I'm going to add another mine. So I'll use this action tile, which will increase my worker income by 1. And this is going to allow me to industrialize, so I can add this mine for 2 workers. And I'll place it on this city, which will cost me $2. Now this mine gives me storage for up to 3 uranium. And because this will be the second mine I have built, I will receive 2 uranium automatically. Plus an extra uranium from this action tile. So now my mine is full. And because I emptied this connecting line, I get 5 victory points right away. And because I played my action tile above my board, I can now complete this contract, which provides me with 2 points immediately, and $2. Now back to Nuko. All right, and I think I'm going to go ahead and play Nuko's last railway tile for this round. And I'm going to go ahead and get this one. And now let's refresh the market. And I'll go ahead and place it here, away from me. But it is starting to get crowded now, so I need to be careful so I don't miss out on any additional points I could be getting from connecting those lines. All right, it's back to me, and I think I'm going to start to build. But in order for me to do that, I'll need to expand my network first. I'm going to go ahead and play this tile and place it between these 2 cities. And now I have access to this purple city, and I can start to build. This tile will provide me with a worker, so I'll just place it on this tile itself. And that will allow me to industrialize. And I'll go ahead and build my next turbine, which will provide me with 2 achievement tokens every time I energize. And I'll go ahead and place it here to continue to build my empire on the side of the board. And that'll cost me 2 workers. Back to Nuko. All right, now that it's Nuko's turn, we're going to go ahead and place another urban building. And this time we're going to go ahead and place it over here. All right, back to me. And I think I'm going to go with this one so I can build. And it will give me a discount of $1. So I'll get this one for $3 instead of the 4. Let's go ahead and place it here, my newly created network. And it will also gain me an achievement token. And now, because I played this tile on my board, I get to complete this contract because I have 2 items in 2 different orange cities, here and here. And this contract will gain me 1 more technology upgrade. This one, which gains me an achievement token every time I place a worker out onto the board. So now that's activated. And now back to Nuko. All right, for Nuko, obviously we'll just have to take this last action, which is to spend a carbon for him. And we'll go ahead and flip this one. And now it's getting a little bit more expensive. Now, obviously it doesn't make a big dent, but it really depends on your strategy. Other games I've had it where I needed to depend on these carbons a lot more than in this game. So this can vary. And now back to me. All right, we are now at the start of the 3rd round, and already we can tell I'm progressing somewhat since I've industrialized and urbanized some. Of course, I've heavily concentrated on green buildings. I may want to start focusing on the orange buildings since that's another milestone, but of course I'll need to get one of my milestone markers out into that area. But if I get more achievement tokens, I may just go straight to that milestone, which will basically be more buildings energized for different cities. I just need to start energizing by the end of this round or the beginning of next round. But first I'm going to get more contracts and place this tile on my board, which will give me 2 contracts. And let's take the first one, which will give me 4 coins and 6 points. Once I complete these 3 mines, which I only have 1 more to go. And let's go ahead and get 2 more coins. All right, let's reveal the next contract. This one's going to give me 2 uranium and 5 points once I play 3 green buildings, which I have already played. So that'll be an easy one to fulfill. All right, let's go ahead and place it here to gain another worker. And the next part of my action tile will give me another achievement token. And now back to Nuko. All right, and for Nuko's first action of the 3rd round, I'm going to place one of his railway tiles. And I'm going to choose this one for him. And let's go ahead and get out a new tile. And we'll place this tile onto this city. And this will allow me to start my transportation line once I have access to Praha. Back to me. All right, let's go ahead and build. I'm going to place this tile on the board. And let's place my last worker on it. And before we flip over these tiles, let's do the actions first. For my first action, let's go ahead and move my worker track 1 more space over. And the second action will be to urbanize. So let's go ahead and choose this last one down here. And this has a government urban building icon, which means it'll count points for every building, regardless of whether it's mine or Nuko's, for points on green buildings that are all connected to this network. So I really need to start adding some buildings for Nuko that are green. But for now, I'm going to place it here in Praha, and that's going to double up those points at the end of the game. It's going to cost me 5 talers. And now we can go ahead and flip over these tiles, and I'll get 2 points out of it. And now back to Nuko. All right, and for Nuko, we're going to go ahead and take this silver contract tile that he has for this round. All right, and this will be the last silver contract tile for the game. Let's go ahead and replace it. And now it says we're going to need 3 turbines out there in order for us to fulfill this contract. Well, I already have them out there, so this will be easy for me to fulfill. And now back to me. Okay, for my next move, I'm going to place this tile on my board to increase both my victory point tracker and my taller tracker by 2. Back to Nuko. All right, now for Nuko, we're going to go ahead and place a turbine out onto the board. All right, so let's go ahead and place it here. And that's it for Nuko. All right, now I could go ahead and try to complete this contract because I do have green buildings out there, but the problem is the rewards gives me 2 uranium, and I don't have any space left on any of my mines. So I don't think that's a really good idea at this point. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and play this action tile on my board so I can move up my taller income by 1 and gain another action tile. And so the only action tile that I can afford is this one, which is for free. Back to Nuko. For Nuko's next turn, let's go ahead and place another railway tile. And I'll go ahead and get this one for him. And let's place it over here so we can connect the transportation line from this power plant, since I may be planning to put a turbine there. All right, for my next move, I'm going to have to recharge because I don't have any resources to really make a meaningful action. So I'll start by collecting my income And since I have action tiles that cover up to this point, I can go ahead and collect 9 tallers, 3 workers, and 3 points. I'll go ahead and place my milestone marker on the number 2 spot, since that's all the achievement tokens I have. And that means I qualify for the orange building milestone. And I get to place this Nucleum out onto the board. Let's go ahead and place it out onto this one. And that'll get me 2 points. Let's go ahead and discard these achievement tokens and get my tiles back in play. And now back to Nuko. All right, now that it's Nuko's turn, we're going to go ahead and select the last railway tile for this round. And we'll go ahead and get this one for him. And let's go ahead and refill the spot. All right, and I'll go ahead and place it here. All right, and now that it's back to me, I'm going to go ahead and play this tile out onto the board. And because of my technology board, this special action here gives me an achievement token for whenever I add a tile out onto the board. And the first action will let me select action tiles. And I think I'm going to go with this one for free. And I'll pay this one for $3. All right, now back to Nuko. And I think I'm going to go with placing an urban building for him. And because of my government building here in Praha, I want to use one of the green buildings. So let's place it here since I'm now connected through this transportation line. And now back to me. So before I get started on my turn, I just realized that I must have bumped my worker from this tile at some point in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and place it back to avoid any confusion. All right, so now I think it's time for me to energize, and I'm going to place this tile on my board. This will allow me to energize with a +1 energy. Also, because I have unlocked this space on my board, it allows me to energize with a +2 energy as well. So let's start by energizing this building, which requires 9 energy. So now I just need 6 more to energize this building. And I choose this power plant to energize the building. And because this power plant allows me to produce 1 uranium from my mine automatically, I just need my 2 turbines to process the other 2 uranium. So I will take the 3 uranium from this mine, and this completes this building. All right, let's go ahead and flip this over. Looks like I'll get 5 points at the end of the game. I get to unlock a level 3 technology tile and 9 achievement tokens. So for my level 3 technology, I'm going to choose this one, which provides me my 2 special action tiles that this letter B experiment board provides. And I also get my 9 achievement tokens. And now I'm going to industrialize by paying 2 workers to send this mine out onto the board. And let's go ahead and place this mine on this city. Unfortunately, this space will cost $2. But it will automatically give me 1 uranium. And because this is the 3rd mine out on the board, I'm going to get a total of 4 uranium. So I'll place 3 for this mine and 1 for this mine. Since I have now energized 2 buildings so far, and because I placed my action tile on my board, I now get to fulfill this contract. And I'm going to get 2 coins and 2 victory points. And because I energized in this turn, I also get 2 achievement tokens that this unlocked space provides. And now back to Nuko. For Nuko, we're going to go ahead and select the last urban building for this round. Now let's see if we can find us another blue building to continue to accumulate points for my capital building in Praha. And here we go. Let's place it here on this orange city. And now back to me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and place this tile on my board. Which will increase my taller track by 2 and increase my victory point by 2. And because I played it on my board, I'll be able to claim this contract, which requires 3 mines that I've already played out on the board. And it will gain me 4 coins and 6 victory points. And that's my turn. Alright, back to Nuko, and we're going to have to cross off the last action for Nuko for round 3, which is to spend a carbon. Again, increasing the cost. Alright, we are at the start of the 4th round, which means Nuko will begin to recharge, so to speak. Basically, we just add a token out on the board for him, and it's 6 spaces from his last place milestone token, which means he would tie me. And then after that, he would place one on space 13. And I have 12, so I just need at least 2 more to win the next King's Day scoring. Alright, so for my next move, I'm going to urbanize. And I'll use this action tile, which will give me $1 discount. So I'm going to go for this yellow building that costs $4. And with my discount, I just have to pay 3. So I'll go ahead and place it here in Praha. And next I'm going to use that other action on this tile to gain 1 more achievement token for a total of 13. And because I placed this tile on my board, I could complete this contract, but because I don't need uranium at this time, I'm going to claim it later on. And that's my turn. All right, it's back to Nuko, and we're going to go ahead and select to place a turbine. Just a quick reminder though that we cannot select any of the milestone actions unless it is the last action for that round. Alright, now let's go ahead and place it on this city in case we need to use his turbine. Now back to me. Alright, for my next action, I'm going to go ahead and get another contract. And I'll use this question mark tile to do it. And I'll pick this turbine contract. Alright, let's go ahead and refill it. Alright, and I'll place it on this space of my board so I can get 2 achievement tokens, and that brings my total to 15, which means it will beat Nuko's 3rd milestone placement. And because I've already fulfilled this contract, I can go ahead and claim it right away. And that will get me 5 points, and I get 2 workers as well. And that's going to give me 7 contracts in total, which means I'm only 1 away from completing this purple contract as well. Now back to Nuko. Alright, for Nuko's next turn, we're going to place a railway tile. And I'll choose this one. And let's place it out on this city. Alright, it's back to me, and I'm going to play this action tile out onto my board, which will allow me to urbanize and energize. Alright, I'll just go ahead and place it on this city. And because I did, I will also be able to do an action from this side of my action tile as well, which is to increase 1 more income on my taller track. So let's go ahead and first urbanize, and I'll choose to build this city for $5. And we'll go ahead and place it here in this purple city. And this building will go towards this orange milestone. Next, I'm going to energize. Let's go ahead and energize this green building, which I will need 6 energy. And I do have 3 uranium from this mine, and I can use all 3 since I have my 2 turbines and a power plant. Let's go ahead and flip this building over now. And that's going to give me 6 achievement tokens, 5 points at the end of the game, and I can claim a level 2 technology tile. Alright, over to my experiment board. In this case, I'm going to select this technology tile because it will allow me to now get 2 different resources for whenever I place a contract on my board. And now let's flip these over. And I get 4 points. That's the end of my turn. Actually, it's not the end of my turn, because I just realized that when I energize this city, I didn't have to spend all 3 of my uranium, because I get a discount of 2 energy from this unlocked special action on my player board. So really, I just needed to use 2 uranium. So I'm going to perform a takeback and recover 1 uranium. Also, because I performed an energize action, I also forgot to give myself 2 achievement tokens from this unlocked ability. And finally, when I placed a worker out onto the board, I should have received 1 more achievement token thanks to this technology tile. So that's a total of 3 achievement tokens I missed out on. But don't worry, I'm recovering them now. I have 24. And now my turn is over. Actually, my turn's not over yet. I forgot to pay the $5 for that building I just built. Okay, now I promise it's the end of my turn. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, it's back to Nuko, and we're going to go ahead and have him place an urban building. And because I will be trying to score more points for my government building in Praha, I'll add his last green building on this green city. I just need to make sure I connect the railway tile at some point, so that way it will actually count as part of my network. Alright, back to me. Alright, it's back to me, and I'm going to go ahead and recharge. So let's start by getting income. I'm going to get the $10. Only 1 point from this taller track because I didn't add any more action tiles further out to get this last one. And I'll get 3 more workers. And finally, I'll get 5 points. Next, I'll place my milestone token on spot 22, even though I have 24, just because I want to get this Nucleum out on the board. And we'll go ahead and choose this power plant, which will provide me 1 uranium. And let's go ahead and add it to this mine. And I'll go ahead and discard these achievement tokens. And finally, I get my action tiles back. And now back to Nuko. Alright, back to Nuko, and we're going to have him add his last urban building for this round. And let's go ahead and pick this yellow building. And we'll place it over here. Alright, now for my turn, I'm going to place this action tile on my board, which will increase my income tracker. 2 victory points and $2. And since I placed it on my board, I'm going to go ahead and fulfill this contract since I already have 3 buildings out on the board. And this will give me 5 points and 2 uranium. And I'll go ahead and place it on this mine. And let's go ahead and add this contract to my stack. And I believe that's going to make it 8 contracts fulfilled for me, which means I get to claim the purple contract that gives me 12 points. So now I'm going to go from 51 to 63. And that's my turn. All right, now for Nuko, we're going to go ahead and add another railway tile for him. Let's go ahead and pick this one. And we'll have it added to his orange city. All right, now let's refill the market. And now back to me. All right, for my next turn, I'm going to go ahead and use this tile, which will let me industrialize and energize with a 1 bonus energy. And this time, we're going to go ahead and send it out to the board. And we're going to place it in between these 2 cities. And because I placed a worker out on the board, I can gain an achievement token thanks to this technology tile. Now, although I won't be able to build anything on this green city, I have expanded my network, which means I can now use these buildings for my government buildings once I have energized them. And to be clear, if I had not had a network created in this city, even if Nuko had his railway tile here, I still would not be able to have access to these buildings for that particular scoring. All right, the first action we're going to do is to industrialize. And we're going to go ahead and add this turbine out onto the board. Let's go ahead and place it on this city, and that's going to cost me 3 workers. And unfortunately, because I didn't play my action tile on my board, I won't be able to claim another purple contract. And actually, now that I think of it, I don't think I should have taken the previous contract because I can only fulfill a contract if I played my action tile on my board. So I'll make up for it later in the game. And for my next action, it will be to energize my government building in Praha. And that's going to be 12 energy. But I do have a discount from this tile, so I just need 11. And I get a discount total of 3 energy from both my unlocked turbines. So now I just need 9. And I have these 3 uranium from this mine. And since I have my power plant and my 2 turbines from this city, I can go ahead and process all of them. So now I just need 3 more. So I have to purchase some carbon. But because I have a discount on my board of 1 carbon, I only have to pay for 2. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I just need to flip this building over, which will provide me with 12 achievement tokens. And I get to choose 3 spaces on my tracker for any of the 3 incomes I get. And I choose to increase my taller income 3 spaces over. I'm now eligible for 6 points at the end of the game. Finally, because I energized, I get 2 more achievement tokens, bringing my total to 15. And now back to Nuko. Alright, back to Nuko, and we'll go ahead and have him place his last railway tile of round 4. And the options out here are getting pretty small. So we'll go ahead and place it over here, which means we're going to have to select this one since it does match the color, and we'll place it over here. And we'll go ahead and slide these over. Alright, now back to me, and at this point I'm basically just trying to avoid triggering the endgame conditions because I need another round or 2 to be able to get to 200. Also, I'm at 63, which means I'm getting really close to triggering this flag here. And I really like to get around 80 or 90 points before ending the game. And if anything, I want to be able to trigger a King's Day scoring, which is coming up in this round, especially since I'll be in first place for the next 2 rounds. That's 12 points automatically, if I can stay alive. So getting railway tiles and contracts right now is going to also trigger the flags very soon. So I'm going to try to avoid those for now. What I do need to start thinking about is getting those purple contracts. And I'm only 1 away from adding 1 more worker out on the board to get the 9 I need to fulfill this contract. And I've already qualified for the turbine. So let's get some more buildings out there. Let's play this tile here, which is to urbanize, and it will give me 1 taller discount. I'd like to get the next government building out there, but I kind of blocked myself out of some of these cities. I could build out here in Riza, but I'd have to get a tile out there and I don't have any workers. So let's just go ahead and build this orange building out here. And let's get it out here in this orange city. That'll be 3 tallers. And now I'll get my achievement token. I would collect this purple contract, but I'm making up for taking the other one out of turn. Back to Nuko. Alright, we're going to go ahead and select the silver contract from this round for Nuko. Now, since there are no silver contracts out there, we just pick a gold one for him. And we'll go ahead and discard this one. Alright, the next contract requires us to have a total of 5 contracts. And that's easy. I can definitely get that one since I already have 8. Alright, back to me. I'm going to urbanize again. And this time I get a 2 taller discount. And I just realized I could have built this government building. Here in this purple city, since it is a yellow house symbol. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to decide not to take the next action on this tile, which would have given me the opportunity to gain a golden contract. Instead, however, I do qualify to gain this purple contract, which immediately gives me 6 points and access to a level 3 technology tile. But instead, I choose to downgrade it to a level 2 and take this tile, which gives me 8 achievement tokens right away. Oh, and I almost forgot to pay for that government building. It would have been 5, but with my discount, I only have to pay 3. And that's my turn. All right, it's back to Nuko, and we're going to go ahead and perform his last action for this round. And that's going to be to play his milestone marker. And because it leaves an empty space, he triggers the King's Day scoring. We place it 6 spaces from the previous milestone marker played. In this case, we will place it here in the 7th spot, tying me. That means I will receive 6 points since we both tied for first place, taking me to 75 points. And I have activated the first flag, which means I will also get to receive 3 additional points. And I will also receive 2 points for coming in second. A quick reminder that Nuko does not receive any points since he already has accumulated his 200 points at the beginning of the game. And that is the end of the 4th round. The turn is back to me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and energize. Let's go ahead and place this on my board. And I'll choose to energize this building, which requires 8 energy. But because I have a discount of 2 from this action tile, I only need 6. And because I have a discount of 3 energy from my player board, I just need 3 more. So I'll use one of my uranium, which gives me 2. And I would just need 1 more energy to energize this building. And I'd rather just pay for a carbon, but because I have a discount of $1 from my board, I don't have to pay for it. But I still do have to flip it. And this building is going to give me 8 achievement tokens. And I also get to move up 4 spaces on my worker track. And because I energized, I will gain 2 achievement tokens. For a total of 34 achievement tokens. And that's the end of my turn. All right, we are now entering the 5th round. And for Nuko, we're going to go ahead and select a turbine. And let's go ahead and place it on this city. All right, now back to me. All right, now I'm going to recharge. So that means I'm going to get income first. And the first thing we're going to get is $10. For workers, add a total of 11 points from all 3 tracks. I would have received 3 more dollars and 6 more points if I had played my action tiles all the way up to this point. But that's it for income. And then let's go ahead and place my milestone marker on space 34, which means I will activate my 3rd level technology tile thanks to this milestone. And I'm going to select this technology tile, which will provide me with additional points based on where my milestone markers are placed on space 10 or above. And so far I have 2 milestone markers above 10, which means I'm looking at additional 10 points so far. I also qualify for turbine points from this milestone. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of our achievement points and get our action tiles back. And now back to Nuko. All right, it's back to Nuko, and he's going to add a mine. And we'll just place it over here in this green city. And now back to me. All right, for my next move, I'm going to place this action tile out on the board. And let's place it onto this green city. And this tile will allow me to energize with a bonus of 2 energy. And I get to industrialize with 1 discount worker. So the first thing I'm going to do is energize this building, which requires 10 energy. But thanks to my bonus on my tile, I only have to get 8 energy. And because of my bonus on my player board, I have a total discount of 3, which means I'm down to only 5 more energy. So I'll use these 2 uranium to energize this building. All right, that leaves 1 energy remaining. So I'll use a carbon of $1
but because of the 1 carbon discount from my board, it's free. And now let's flip this building over and we're going to gain 10 achievement tokens. And get to move my taller track 4 spaces over. But because I've reached the maximum, I'll just get 3 points right away. And because I've energized, I'll get 2 achievement tokens from the bonus off my board. And now let's go ahead and industrialize. And we'll place the last mine out onto the board for 3 workers. But because of my discount from the action tile, I only pay 2. Alright, I'll place my mine onto this green city. And because I already have 4 mines out on the board, I get 4 uranium. And I'll place 2 on this mine and 2 on this mine. And now let's go ahead and flip these tiles over. And I'm going to receive 2 points thanks to the bonus located at the bottom of the board. And because I played a worker out onto the board, I also get 1 more achievement token from this technology tile. And now back to Nuko. Alright, the next action for Nuko will be to take a carbon tile. And now it's starting to get a little expensive. Now, unfortunately, Nuko always takes the cheapest carbon, but I get to choose from which side of the board. So let's go ahead and take one from one of these. Alright, back to me, and I'm going to play this action tile, which will increase my point tracker by 2. And my taller tracker is maxed, so I'll just get 2 points immediately. And now back to Nuko. Alright, for Nuko, we're going to take another carbon tile. Again, making this carbon much more expensive. Now in this game, it hasn't really impacted me because I focus mainly on uranium, but there have been times where I've really heavily relied on carbon, and when Nuko increases those carbons, you can really feel it. Fortunately, it hasn't been that big of a deal in this game. Well, now back to me. Alright, back to me, and I'm going to choose to play this action tile onto my board, which will provide me with 1 achievement token. And I also get a discount to urbanize. And I'll go ahead and play this orange building out onto the board. And because of my discount, I only have to pay $2. Now let's go ahead and play it on this city. And since I played my action tile on my board, I'm going to go ahead and fulfill this purple contract. Since I reached 9 workers out onto the board. And this provides me with 12 points. And now I have earned my 100 point marker. Back to Nuko. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and select for him to play a contract. And we'll go ahead and select this one. And let's refill the market. It looks like I'll just need to energize 1 building in Praha, which I already have. So this would be a good one. Alright, back to me. Alright, next for me is going to be to play this action tile, which will allow me to urbanize with a discount of $2. And I'm going to lay it out on the board. Now let's go ahead and place it here. And I'll choose to purchase the last orange building, which is free. I'll go ahead and place it on this green city. And I choose not to play the contract action side of my tile. So we just need to flip over these. And now I get 2 points. And because I played a worker out on the board, this technology will provide me with an additional achievement token, bringing my total to 15. And now back to Nuko. Alright, it's back to Nuko, and he only has 1 type of action to play. However, if he plays any of these railway actions, he will trigger the endgame condition. And I still feel like I need a couple more turns to get to 200 by the end of the game. So the only way to work around this is to choose to play what the game calls the substitute rule. And the way that works is that you are given 3 extra building tiles to play at the beginning of the game, and you may use them at any time during the game. This play is of course optional. Basically, you use the urbanize a building action for Nuko, instead of the ones that are on this table available. And then you would just cross off one of the actions you're substituting for. And in this case, I'm going to substitute a railway action for him. Now I can just cross off that action,
And the way I like to keep track of the 3 substitute actions I have used so far is to color the box in completely. Now, if I had already played all 3 and I had an action that Nuko could not take, then I would have to circle the box. Then at the end of the game, I will have to subtract 10 points from each of the circled boxes, and that would affect my total points. It's best to avoid using all 3 of them unless you're getting desperate because it can be costly. And now I'll go ahead and add this yellow building tile out over here. And now back to me. Alright, for my next action, I'm going to energize. But because I just blocked myself out of that action going forward, since I had to play all of my energized tiles out on the board, I'll have to use my special directive, or as I've been calling it, the question mark tile. And I'm going to energize this building in Praha, which requires 6 energy. And I have a discount of 3 energy from my player board, so I just need 3 more. I'll use one of my uranium, which covers me for the 2, and for the last energy, I'll have to discard one of these carbon tiles, which now costs 3. I could have gone for either one of these depots because I have a complete connection to this building, even though some of the railways are built by the AI. And because of my discount from my player board, it'll just cost me 1 taler. Alright, and let's go ahead and flip this tile over. And I'm going to get 6 achievement tokens and move my worker track 3 spaces over. And because I energized this turn, I also get 2 achievement tokens from this bonus. And now back to Nuko. Alright, Nuko still has 1 more railway tile action, but if I play it, it will trigger the end of the game. And even though we would still get 1 more turn after ending the game, I still want Nuko to play a King's Day scoring. So I'm going to go ahead and use the substitute rule again and color in my action box here for the last railway tile of round 5. So now I will instead have him urbanize. So let's go ahead and play this orange building out here in Dresden. And now back to me. I'm going to go ahead and play this tile on my board, which will allow me to move my worker track token 1 more space. But I will skip the industrialize action. Alright, Nuko will end the round by placing a milestone marker out onto the board, and that will be 6 spaces from his last milestone marker, which will take him to space 13. And this means he triggers another King's Day scoring, which means I will get 8 points because I have first and second place. Alright, now for my first turn of the 6th round, I will play this action tile, which will allow me to get 2 contracts and an achievement token. Alright, let's get the token now. And I'll choose to get this contract, which gives me 3 coins and 6 points. And since I've already energized 4 buildings, that will be an easy one. And for my second contract, I'll go ahead and get this one, since I already have the 5 contracts completed. And it will provide me access to a level 2 technology tile. And remember, if I get all of these activated, I can also trigger this flag for an additional 3 points. Alright, let's place one of the contracts here for uranium. And because of this technology, I can also get additional rewards of another contract, regardless of whether it's occupied or not. And in this case, I'll go ahead and get 1 more worker. Unfortunately, it only works on the first contract, not on the second like this tile provides. So I'll just place this one on this space to get another worker. And because I placed my action tile on the board, I can go ahead and fulfill one of these contracts right away. So let's go with this one, because I've already energized 4 buildings, and I'll go ahead and get 6 points right away. And 3 coins. Now let's go ahead and refill this market. And since we depleted the last contract, I will add an endgame condition marker. And this will reward me with 3 points and trigger the end of the game. However, Nuko still gets 1 more turn. Alright, Nuko still gets 1 more turn. And I'll just have him flip another carbon tile since that won't affect me at this point. So we'll go ahead and cross this one off from round 6. And we'll flip this one. And actually, I just realized that these should have been flipped. Not that we would get any points or anything, but I don't want to confuse anyone. Alright, it's back to me. And for my final action, I will recharge. Let's start by collecting income. And because I only have 5 action tiles out on my board, I will only collect up to this column. So that'll be $11. 5 workers, and a total of 15 points. Alright, let's place my last milestone marker on space 14. And even though I could have placed it on this green section, because I don't have a marker tile there, I think I will earn more points from this milestone than the orange buildings. Alright, let's go ahead and get rid of this achievement tokens. And get my tiles back. As for Nuko, because it's his final turn, he always places his milestone marker, if he has any left. And in this case, he does. So let's place this one on space 24. And this will trigger a King's Day scoring. And since he's blocked me for second place, I only score 6 points. Nuko also triggers another endgame condition, but it's too late. The game is now officially over. Let's move to final scoring. Alright, so I finished the game with 150 points. So let's go ahead and start counting. I don't have any achievement tokens left, so nothing to add to the milestone track. Let's go ahead and score our milestones. Alright, I have a -3 for this first one. I get 1 point for each factory, orange urban building that I have out on the board, regardless of whether it's energized or not. And in this case, I have 4, as you can tell from my player board. So that's a total of 4 points. Next, we will count the same for laboratory or green urban buildings, and I have 4 for this one as well. So we add the multiplier of 3 for a total of 12. Then we have this milestone, which scores for each city in which I have an energized urban building. So I have one here, here. I didn't energize this one, but I do have one energized in this city. And finally, I do have a building energized in Praha. So that's 4 different cities. And this one comes with 2 multipliers. One here for 4, and one here for 5. For a total of 9. So now I have a total of 36 points. So that's 199. And finally, we have this milestone for turbines with a multiplier of 6. And I have all of my turbines out on the board for a total of 24 points. And now I get to flip my token to the 200 side. Next, let's score for my gold technology that I locked in. And since I did place 3 markers above the 10th space, I will get the full 21 points. So now I'm at 244. Alright, next let's check my leftover resources. I have 7 workers, which will give me 3 points because I only get 1 point for every 2 workers. I have $30. Divided by 5, that means I get 6 points. And for uranium, I get 1 point for every 2. And because I have 6, I get 3 points. Now I'm at 256. Next, let's move on to our energized buildings. We will do Praha and the government buildings at the end. Here we have 5. These 2 are government buildings, so I'll count those at the end. Here's another 5, and 2 more points over here. And 5 more points from this building in Praha. But I get to multiply by 2 thanks to Praha's double multiplier effect. So that gives me 10 more points. Now that's 22 points so far for energized buildings, bringing me to 278. Next, let's move on to all my government buildings, which I have 3. We'll start with this one, and we get to score 2 points for every orange building, whether it was energized or not, and whether that building belongs to me or not, as long as it's part of my network, meaning there is an orange building in a city where I have a connection to. All right, so we count its own tile, so that's going to be 1. Here is 2, because this piece makes this city part of my network. 3, 4, 5, for a total of 10 points. And now on to this government building, which gives me 2 points for each yellow building. Again, regardless of whether it's energized or not, and whether it's my building or not, as long as it's part of my network. So we'll count its own building tiles, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 8 more points. And lastly, we go to Praha for this government building, which provides me 3 points for each green building. So this is 1. Here is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I could have gotten 2 more if I would have placed one of my workers on Freiburg. But that's going to be a total of 18 points. But because of Praha, I get to double my score, so that's 36 points. Getting me to 332 points, and I gain another scoring marker of 100. And finally, we'll add in the income track bonuses. But I only got 1, which will provide me 10 points, for a grand total of 342, beating the AI by 142 points. I think for this score, I will probably need to consider this more of a beat your own score. Of course, this also means I may need to try a harder level. So now let's move on to final thoughts. Welcome to final thoughts. So if you skipped all the way to this section, I ended up beating the AI opponent by 135 points. Now, of course, I did it on easy mode, which provides me up to 6 rounds. So if you're beating the AI by more than 20 points consecutively, then you need to move on to the regular or hard mode. Now, if you play regular mode, you only get 5 rounds. And if you play hard mode, you only get 4. So the turns become a bit more challenging because the milestone markers, contracts, and railway tiles start coming out more often and sooner as you're racing for points. And as for hard mode, I'm not even sure I could even beat that. Just because, again, it's 4 rounds, so you won't even have that much time to keep collecting action tiles or fulfilling those contracts. And you also won't have as many railway tiles coming out there on the board from Nuko, the AI opponent, to be able to bounce off and form more transportation lines. But nonetheless, I like this solo concept simply because I'm able to choose for the AI. I don't have to rely on heavy rules to figure out the AI opponent's next move. Now, obviously, I bought this game because I appreciate David Turksy's solo mode, and I thought his version was very clever. I felt like I was playing another opponent. But there's just simply some times where I feel exhausted by it, and even halfway through the game. I mean, it's a really big, deep, complex game as it is. And I don't mean the actions themselves. Like, those are quick to pick up. It's the decisions to advance your strategy to meet your objectives. And then you throw in a high maintenance solo mode, and it's a bit much sometimes. And if I played this often, it wouldn't bother me at all, since I would have each rule memorized. But if I only take this game out a couple of times, then I just need something simple and yet still have some tension. Especially when it starts to get crowded on the board, or when it starts to take resources and tiles away. But yeah, I hope you get something out of this variant. It's just another option to enjoy this game. You can certainly play the official solo mode, but if you feel like you want to bring this game out and just go straight to playing your moves to explore and stretch your imagination, then this is the variant for you. Because even though you're deciding the AI's moves, you have to be careful you don't pin yourself into a corner. So yeah, this variant can get challenging, even as simple to manage as it is. Now overall, as far as Nucleum, this is a great game to play. I love the area control opportunities as you fight for different cities to control, where you can also block your opponent from gaining access to certain areas and really squeeze the game for your opponent. I especially love fulfilling those contracts because they provide really good bonuses and rewards. It can definitely get you out of some tight situations. And if you don't take advantage of them, you can get behind pretty quick. Now for the action tiles, what a great concept for me. It's almost like hand management, but with a twist. Do I play this out onto the board for more control of the cities and expand my network? Or do I keep them? Just one more round to strengthen my income track. So this is just a really challenging decision-making game. And timing in this game is everything. Because if you get rid of those action tiles too soon, you're not growing your income track. But if you keep them too long, then you may be blocking your spaces onto the board, like I did. And as you can see from this solo variant, if you gain too many action tiles too soon and fulfill too many contracts, you're going to push the game to end much quicker. And you may not have built enough points at that point. So you have to find ways to stretch the game into later rounds. as far as you can build up those points, because the AI will start to deplete those resources and will push the game to finish early. Now, I've been caught scoring less than 200 points because I was getting too many of those action tiles just too soon. And at the same time, the AI was picking up those contracts. And then all of a sudden, the game was over. And it was like the third or fourth round. So this variant is great to practice, to learn how to stretch your strategy throughout the game and understand when to gain points at certain times and when to invest your moves for the right moment. And this is a great solo variant because, again, it allows you the opportunity to experiment without having to worry about all the different rules for the AI. So overall, I really enjoyed playing this game. I can see myself keeping this one in my collection, especially with this variant. I can see myself playing it more often. I will say it is a beast to set up and tear down. The game is very long, at least if you want to be successful. Now, I can't imagine playing this game with other players that are AP prone. And I think that's the advantage, right? Like when you're playing with this AI opponent like Nuko, you can leave the game as is, step out for a while, come back, and continue to play. Or you could take your time, thinking about your next move, without any pressure from any other player. And once you get good at it, and you do play with other players, you won't be the one with the AP problem, because you're used to these moves, you know what's coming, and how to play. And I get it, some folks are going to have an easier time remembering the official solo mode. They feel like it's more official, it's a better version, and this one may feel like it breaks the game, but as you can see, you still have to work at it. You still have your part to play. And you still have pieces that you have to put out onto the board for the AI, and eventually you'll feel the pressure. Now, in my situation, as many games as I have, I just don't have time to read and look up the rules for just one AI opponent. So the less I have to refresh, the more opportunity I'm going to have to play this game. Alright, so with all of that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you were able to beat the AI opponent in this variant and in regular mode or hard mode, please let us know in the comments below. I'm also interested in finding out if this variant works well for others, at least for its intended purpose. But that's it for me. Until our next board game adventure, hope you had a great time with this one.